Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're tracking here for today. Is we've got a severe weather day ahead today for the southeast, and we have another round for this weekend, which could be more potent. I'm going to explain why here in just a second. We're going to talk about the active winter snow days continue. We have actually winter weather advisories of some form really from coast to coast, from California up to the Northeast. I'll show you the latest on that. And it looks like the February chill is definitely settling in across a big portion of the country. So those days of the fall spring we started out the first part of the month with, they're long gone. They're definitely going to say goodbye to that. Now, before we get going, first, I do want to thank the new subscribers here on the channel. And if you haven't yet decided to join us, what you waiting for, my friend? Personal invitation. Please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you learn on future content. As always, any feedback, got a comment, leave it down below. And give me a thumbs up. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the satellite imagery to begin our morning here, as we've got the storm system here. It's impacting the south. Some very cold temperatures here in the plains, heavy rains. We're going to be watching for some severe weather here down across portions of Mississippi, Alabama, sneaking into Georgia later today. West Coast getting a little more active with the storm flow here, so we're going to see the precipitation pick up here across the west between San Francisco heading down toward Los Angeles, as well as the Sierra Nevada. Obviously, you're going to get some higher snows as well in the days ahead. Again, look at the big picture here. Wow. California all the way to the Northeast, man. We've got winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings. They're in the pink. Obviously, flash flooding conditions here across portions of Louisiana, stretching up toward Kentucky, and the high winds out here on the West Coast. That's also going to be a little bit of an issue here in the days ahead. All right, let's look at the surface map here. A very cold Arctic air here. Look at these below zero temperatures up here in the high plains. Minus 18, minus 17, minus 29. Wow, that's cold. Minus 35. That's the cold spot there in northern Minnesota there. And you see temperatures in the single digits, even getting down toward Kansas here, where the snowstorm is starting to get cranking in here. Again, heavy rains here along the southern tier of the United States from Louisiana heading over into Alabama. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer here into Louisiana. You've seen some heavy rains into this area, a little bit of thunder and lightning mixed in with this from Natchez out to Alexandria and to Monroe. And this will be pushing off toward the east, heading toward Jackson. And there'll be areas off toward the east that we're going to have to watch for the potential for some severe weather for today as this system begins to push off toward the east finally. So here is where our day one outlook is. The cities under the gun for today. We're talking about New Orleans, Birmingham, Baton Rouge, Montgomery, and Mobile, all under that slight risk for severe weather. The marginal risk, it does include the city of Atlanta, Beaumont, Sandy Springs, Macon, and Roswell. Of course, that gets into the metro Atlanta area there a little bit with the severe weather. So breaking down the categories on this, the tornado risk, again, in that brown area, which obviously is where the slight risk is, that's where your risk for tornadoes are running about 5 to 9%. Now, the further off toward the east, going into Alabama and going into Georgia, that's going to be going into the evening hours for tonight, and not so much during the daytime. It'll start back off toward Louisiana, Mississippi earlier in the day and kind of push off toward the east. Wind threat will also be the highest in that same area, running between about 15 to 29% there in the yellow for some strong gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour, potentially into that area. Now, it does settle down as we look at the day two outlook here, as we're just looking at, again, just a marginal risk down here across portions of South Alabama, Southwest Georgia, as that line should be weakening as it pushes off toward the east. Now, what has me more concerned, and this one is kind of we'll call this one our warm-up. Because when we look at the days ahead, we'll look at the day three. Day three is not looking bad. You got a general thunderstorm threat there across portions of Tennessee, Kentucky, down toward Texas and in Louisiana. Another little pocket out here in the west toward Arizona. But it's the day four outlook. And you don't see this very often, but when you do, you know you got things to look out for. When you see a 30% chance, you see an orange showing up there on an outlook on a day four, you know you're looking at a pretty good chance of some severe weather across the southeast. So, and I do suspect we could potentially see our first moderate risk for severe weather of the year kind of coming into the southeast. So we're going to have to watch this very closely. We may have had one, I think, back in earlier January, but again, we're getting into that time of year where Dixie Alley really starts to light up. So you folks here across the southeast from Georgia back toward Texas really need to pay attention to the storm system coming into this Saturday. Now, on top of these storm systems, obviously we're dealing with the flooding rain threats here across the southeast. You saw all those flash flood watches that are up here across the region. Obviously, we're going to watch the precipitation start to increase out here on the west coast as well, especially out there in California. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at our day two outlook for the excessive rainfall flooding threats, It starts to back off there across the southeast, just a little bit there, a little sliver there across Georgia and the Florida Panhandle, but it really starts to pick up out here in the west, especially Southern California, seeing that moderate risk for flooding rains down there. And obviously after recent wildfires, that could be a problem for mudslides and things like that. Then as we go ahead and look at what's going on for this upcoming weekend, this is a hazard outlook for 3 to 7. We got the big storm system that's going to be coming in here for this weekend. We're going to be seeing snows. We're going to see severe weather, a little bit of problem out here. Got some gusty winds out here in the west and still looking at heavier precipitation there across the interior sections of California. Obviously snows in that area here in the 3 to 7 day outlook. So we're going to first start off, as always, we start up with the high resolution model. We're kind of looking what's going to be going on here short term, next day and a half or so. So let's go ahead and talk about that. As we're going to be watching this is our initial storm system here. We're going to watch this one begin to pull out, and then we'll watch another storm system come out here toward the west, coming in toward California. All right, so let's go ahead and watch this. Again, watch that timestamp there, upper right-hand corner as this kind of goes on by. So we're going to watch this this line of severe weather. This is the storms that'll be flaring up here later this afternoon back here. This will be kind of pushing off toward the east. So that'll be the concern there. Obviously, we got some snows. Luckily, this is moving pretty quickly, so the snowfall amount's not overly high with this storm system as it progresses out of the plains and into up toward the areas of the Great Lakes as we head toward this afternoon. And then we look at these storms really start to merge together here across Alabama as we go in toward tonight. So tonight's going to be a busy night coming in toward Alabama and maybe sneaking into Georgia there, going into the overnight hours here for tonight, early morning hours before this line kind of moves on through. All right, and then now, by that time it should be weakening. So we're kind of watching. When you see this, the reflectivity is kind of showing the storms kind of merging together there, playing bumper cars. You maybe get some isolated tornadoes to spin up into that setup there. So this moves off toward the east. Obviously, you see the heavy rains kind of spreading into the areas of the northeast. Again, kind of pushing the snow further north because the warm air is surging out ahead of it, and snow is going up into Maine. And then obviously we're watching out there on the west coast as well. Again, you see the heavy precipitation out here in the west. Heavy mountain snows up there measured in feet for sure. And some very gusty winds as that storm system kind of plows into the west coast there and it makes its way into the interior. And then as we go toward Friday, we get to catch our collective breaths a little bit. And then we get all active again on Saturday as we'll be, again, watching this area across the deep south going into this weekend. So why are we expecting this severe weather outlook here on Saturday? Let's talk about the jet stream. That's what's driving our weather systems here across the country. Obviously, we got this initial push through right now, and you got this dip. You got this dip in the jet stream right in here. So I mean, it's not bad. Here's another storm system here. So you got one here, coming on through. But it's the jet stream configuration going into this upcoming weekend that really has me concerned because it's a very sharp looking trough here. This is a very sharp. You got the winds making a big dive like this. And when they make that sharp turn like that, that causes what they call diffluence and wind shear. I say that all the time. You're looking for wind shear. And when there's a slight negative tilt, which continues to show, you're going to be looking at the potential for tornadoes in this area. So I think there's a potential for stronger tornadoes and a bigger tornado outbreak than what we're expecting today. I think today will be kind of isolated, not a huge outbreak, but we may see a few. This one going into this upcoming Saturday, Sunday time frame, Saturday, Sunday night, may be a little more robust. Okay, so we're going to have to watch this closely. We'll see what the Storms Prediction Center says tomorrow when they look at their day 3 outlook on whether they put an enhanced or moderate risk on that. I would say they probably might start with an enhanced risk and then upgrade it to possible moderate risk depending on how things are developing with the models. So this moves on out. Now, I will say the one I was watching for the middle of next week, at least on the European, doesn't look nearly as bad. This was not looking nearly as sharp going toward Wednesday of next week. So I'm not concerned about the severe weather for next week. Yesterday, I thought we may have a third opportunity. European is not as robust. GFS is a little stronger with it. But again, I do favor the European model when it comes to things like this. And then overall, the jet stream just kind of looks, we got another little storm system here across the south going in toward the 22nd and 23rd that moves on through. And boy, the jet stream really takes a big deep dive here. Check a look at this configuration going toward Tuesday and Wednesday to 25th and 26th. We're talking about a very cold outbreak here with that kind of jet stream flow. That means Florida. You've been escaping the cold. You're not going to be escaping it for now. My buddy Glenn Burns down there, I don't think he's going to escape this. They're going to see some very, very kind of cold temperatures getting down toward Florida which of course means for them, that means lows getting in the 40s and maybe even some 30s for the interior sections. That is for sure. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the precipitation here. We're going to track these storm systems. Again, we got the system we're tracking here. We just talked about this one on the here. That's going to be clearing the East Coast. All right. So going into Friday, not bad. We're just going to be watching this energy coming in out of the west, ejecting out here, and we're going to tap some of this moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. And we're going to watch this next storm system again, a much more vigorous dip in that jet stream. All right. So as it goes through the weekend, Saturday, the rains will be increasing across the south, and then we're going to watch this going into Saturday evening. Again, we're going to be focusing on this area here for severe weather. Obviously, there'll be snows on the back side of this as this cold air plunges in down here from the high plains, bumping into that relatively warmer air out ahead of it. And obviously, the severe risk there will track from Saturday night into Sunday morning as this pushes off toward the east across Alabama and Georgia. And I really hate those nighttime events because you get into trouble. Folks are sleeping, they don't have their alarms set and things like that. And I will show this right here, a little plug here. If you do not have one of these, get yourself one of these Midland radios. You definitely they come in handy, especially in situations like this where we could be seeing some severe weather not only for tonight, but also going into Saturday night. Now, this pushes on through. Pretty good snows there across the Great Lakes. And again, freezing rain, a lot of freezing rain here across the interior sections of New England here going in towards Sunday late in the day. As we're looking at a piece of the cold polar vortex, there it is right there, showing up nice and dandy there as this kind of drives this cold air here across the eastern half of the United States. Now this pushes on through. Then we got some more energy back here to the west. We'll watch this. This one was looking a lot more robust yesterday. Today, it looks a lot weaker, so as it makes the turn, we're not getting a low to really kind of form up along the Gulf. Kind of falls apart there, but it does reinforce the cold air in place. Here's another little piece of polar vortex here, sweeping air across the Great Lakes once again, going in toward the 19th and 20th of February. And again, remember that showed you that jet stream really gets very, very sharp. We got another system here that kicks on out, more snows here, going from the 22nd and 23rd across the Midwest, stretching into the northeast. And as this goes by, it really drives down the cold air. Check out where the 540 freezing line here goes. Now, granted, this is long-term out. It will change, but very interesting to see that the freezing line is going all the way down here, almost to central Florida, as this cold air comes in across the eastern third of the United States as we are about ready to wrap up the end of February. So a very cold pattern to finish up the month of February, especially the eastern third of the United States. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the precipitation here. First, we'll talk about the next 72 hours, the next 3 days. See where your focus is going to be here first. Obviously, we're going to see the heavy rains here across the southeast and a lot out here in California, even get into Southern California, getting in on the rains on that. Then we're going to take you out to the 10-day. We'll go out for the next week, going into that following weekend. And boy, you can just tell a lot of the east is going to be staying very, very wet here across the eastern third of the United States. Very wet here on the west coast as well. Really, a lot of the country seeing very active precipitation here. And it kind of takes all the way out. You kind of just get the general feel. Hey, a lot of the country is looking very wet indeed here over the next, especially the next 7 to 10 days across the country. Let's talk about some of these rainfall totals. I want to look at here at the southeast specifically here. Again, you could see these rainfall totals here over the period, upwards of 5 inches on top of what's already fallen. A lot of 3 to 4 inches of rain into this area here over the next couple of weeks. And out on the west coast as well, looking at areas out here, seeing 3-4 inches of rain here across California as well, dealing with this heavy rain pattern. All right, now some of this obviously is going to fall as snow, but let's go ahead and talk about that. Let me go look over here at the snow totals here, and we're going to talk about the snow path here as we're looking at this initial snow. Not that much. Again, this is moving pretty fast, so these snow totals are not very impressive. Generally 3-4 inches of snow in here. You've seen the snow out here on the west coast, a little bit here across the mid-Atlantic here over the next 36 hours. And this kind of goes up into Canada. And then we'll wait for the next storm system to kick on out. And this going into this upcoming weekend. Here it comes. Boom, there it goes. Going to Saturday and Sundays. A lot more robust snows here across the areas of the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. Obviously, we're feeling it out here in the West as well. And taking this all the way out to 240, out to 10 days. Again, you kind of see more snows here filling up across the South Plains here. And just off the chart snows there across the California mountains and obviously up here into the Northeast appear to be our snowiest zones. Let's tour some of these as well. Go to the central region here. Again, with that, still looking at snows here. Looks like 4 to 8 inches in some of the higher locations Definitely seeing a little bit more heavier snows there across the east, across the Great Lakes. You're looking at snow totals here getting close to a foot in a lot of locations. So pretty snowy up there. Not really getting much into the southeast. There's a little bit tries to get in toward Arkansas and into Mississippi. That's where that system they're heading toward Wednesday next week. We got time to see if that's going to come to fruition or not. But again, very active. We got a lot of thunderstorms, a lot of snow, and plenty of cold air to deal with here as we wrap up the month of February. Let's go track that cold air here. Obviously, you're looking at the blues, the greens, and the purples. That's our cold stuff. The oranges and reds, that's our red. That's our above normal temperature anomalies here. As we're going to punch this cold front on through here and cool things off going into this upcoming weekend. So going to Friday, you're seeing the cold temperatures here, a bit of a moderation out here in the west as we go toward the 14th on your Valentine's Day. Now, we're going to have a quick warm-up. You see how it rebounds there on Saturday. Again, we got the clash of air masses setting up here. We got cold air plunging into the mild air across the southeast. That's why we're going to see that severe weather on Saturday and Sunday. We're going to have to watch here as that cold air is going to push this on out. Look at that. Look at a big warm surge going into Sunday morning here, even getting into the mid-Atlantic area. So a very sharp cold front here moving in here, going in towards Sunday morning as this moves on through Saturday night and Sunday morning. So it crashes right on through. Then the cold air settles on in there for your going into your President's Day. And when you see this deep purple like that, that means temperatures running about 30 degrees below normal for this time of year. So some below zero temperatures for sure, returning and coming back into place. Obviously, we're good dealing with it already today. All right, now let's go and take this forward here again, going throughout next week. Definitely staying on the cold side. Again, you got that cold setup there. Not getting that big low pressure to form there like it was showing yesterday, but the GFS I know is a little more robust with it. So question marks on the storm system for Wednesday. So keep that in mind for next week. All right, so the cold pattern stays in place here going through most of next week. A lot of the country here, look at the Saturday, the 22nd, coast to coast. Everybody here looking at below normal temperatures here going into the 22nd of February. Now, the west will begin to moderate here a little bit here. It'll stay predominantly here in the east where the cold pattern is setting up here. The 25th, you see in these temperatures running 10, 15 degrees below normal there across Florida as they're going to see the chill, and that stays in place. That ain't going anywhere, folks. It just kind of settles right down in there going to the 26th here. The whole East Coast looking pretty chilly here in the icebox. Obviously, we're warming things up here out in the west as we head toward the 26th, at least the way the long-range models are currently looking at the moment. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. We'll look at the Climate Prediction Center here. I think they're pretty much in agreement with what we're seeing on the models right now. Looking at below normal temperatures here from the 17th to the 21st for a big part of the country, a little above normal here across the southwest, and this stays in place right through the 25th. And right now, the models say the eastern half right through the 26th and 27th. Milder out here in the west begins to moderate a little bit here as we head later into the month. Very active pattern here, 6 through the 10. So below normal precipitation out here in the west coast from day 6 through 10. Obviously, short term, they're dealing with the heavy rains out there for the next 2 to 3 days before they do get a chance to dry out. And then later in the month, that continues with the dry pattern out west and across the high plains. They got the Arctic air kind of setting up in here. And obviously, with the cold Arctic air and above normal precipitation, you got to watch for potential snow chances here, especially across, say, the areas of the south and into the mid-Atlantic. Got to watch that closely here as we go deeper into the month of February. Boy, talk about an active pattern, my friends. We got a lot to watch closely here. Not only with the winter weather, it's going to cause, obviously, travel headaches for flights and icy roads and things like that. And then we also got to deal with tornadoes. We got the threat of that, obviously, today. That's a concern. I'm not expecting a big outbreak potential for today, but it could be there. And then the one heading into Saturday, Sunday, that one to me is a little more concerning. So I think at minimum we get an enhanced area on that, but we may see our first moderate risk for severe weather kicking in with that system, or our second. I think it might be our second for the year coming in as we head into Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So again, the best advice I give you, make sure that you stay attuned. I'll continue with my updates. Make sure you have a good weather app on your phone to stay up on those alerts. Make sure you have a weather radio, especially for nighttime severe weather. You definitely want to make sure you keep you and your family safe. All right, that's y'all's update for now. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted when I upload the content like this. And as always, if you got any feedback, you got something you like to see, please post a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate y'all's support. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next update. Have a good day. Bye-bye.